I think we might as well get started. Welcome, everyone. This is a forum for the County Commissioner District 3 position primary election. Thank you all for coming this evening. Thank you, library, for providing us with this space, and thank you, fellow leaders, for setting this up. I'm Mary Collins, and I will be your moderator this evening. I will begin by reading the League of Women Voters of Pullman's nonpartisan statement. The League acts in support of or in opposition to selected governmental issues which its members have studied. We do not support or oppose candidates, factions, or political parties. League members as individuals are urged to work in the political party of their choice. To protect the League's nonpartisan policy, guidelines regarding the political activities of board members are reviewed frequently. The League of Women Voters of Pullman is fully committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion in principle and practice. These concepts are central to our current and future success in engaging all individuals, households, communities, and policymakers in creating a more perfect democracy. We acknowledge and honor the sovereignty of the First Peoples of the Palouse region and their descendants, including our neighbors, the Nimiku, Nez Perce, the Palouse, the Confederated Tribes of the Colville Reservation, and the Coeur d'Alene tribe. The way it's going to work this evening is each of the candidates will be given 2 minutes to make opening remarks. Then we will move to the question and answer section. We ask if you have a question, please write it on one of the cards and hold it up, and Deb will come around and get it and take it to our table. What these people will do is, if we get the same question 3 different ways, they'll condense it down to one. They'll also make sure I can read it. Each person will have the chance to respond to every question. We don't do questions directed at particular candidates. And then each of the candidates will have 2 minutes to make closing remarks. And our candidates tonight are Cody Finch, Tucker Center, and Chad Wetzel. So let's begin. Do we have our timer in place? Okay, this is Kat. She's your timer. She'll let you know when you're run out. Well, I will just do it in alphabetical order. So, Mr. Finch, if you would like to begin with your opening statement.
Yeah, I'm Cody Finch. I'm a 5th generation farmer and rancher we're just out Story Road above Boyer Park in the dam. And when I first went for the appointment, I had an interest in politics and thought that the county was not on the right track. And as I've met more and more people and really dug into what the commissioners do, I think we have some real problems in the county as far as being ahead of issues, or as far as not being ahead of issues and rather reactive. So just the more and more I learn, the more involved I want to be. I don't want to be a politician forever, but I do want Whitman County to be a better place for my kids to want to stay around in. And I forgot. I want Whitman County to be a better place for my kids to stick around. And I think we just see it all over in all our levels of government right now that we're losing businesses. We're not better off than we were 10 years ago as far as economic opportunity, places that we can shop. And I think we need someone as a commissioner to help out those businesses, help out the residents, really be in touch with what they're concerned about. And I hope that at least through this that we can get everyone in the county more involved in participating, being a vocal to their different levels of government. So thank you guys for the opportunity tonight to talk.
Please, Mr. Center.
My name is Tucker Center from Palouse, and I'm running for County Commissioner here in Whitman County's 3rd District because it is clear to me, as it should be for everyone in this room, that what many of our local leaders are doing isn't working and hasn't for some time now. And this has caused issues pertaining to a lack of mental health and addiction facilities as well as child care providers that burdens many of our mothers and fathers, as well as a lack of job opportunity and upward mobility that has led to Whitman County having the highest rate of poverty out of all Washington counties. And not to forget the fact that Olympia has seemingly done everything in their power to sell Whitman County out for their own political gain in the name of building wind farms in a place that National Geographic once called a paradise called the Palouse, or the Tuscany of the United States. My time as a successful lobbyist for Washington State University has uniquely equipped me to face many of these problems. I've lobbied on legislation here at the state level pertaining to protections for victims of sexual assault, as well as student-free speech, ensuring that students can peacefully and patriotically make their voices heard without the threat of their financial aid being stripped from them, as well as federal issues and conversations surrounding veterans benefits, ensuring that veterans get the benefits that they fought so hard for as it pertains to their educational goals. Another thing that is very important to me in my campaign, and also sets me up uniquely for this position, is that I am by far the youngest candidate in this election at just 21 years old, which sets me up to be a leader not only for the current generation, but for the future as well. And it helps me out to identify some of these base level goals, as well as my experience as a lobbyist, which has set me up perfectly to face those goals and to solve them. And it gives you all the unique opportunity to vote for someone that is new to our local government here and brings a fresh face, but also has that governmental experience.
I'm Chad Wetzel, and I was appointed the county commissioner here back in March. I've been a resident in Whitman County now for over 30 years. I'm a small business owner. I've been a horseshoer for just about 30 years, 28 now, and I volunteered with the local fire department, and I've been on the planning commission for several years where I was the chair. The one thing that I really believe strongly in our community is you need to volunteer if you want it to work successfully. In all my positions, I have worked with many people from different backgrounds. As a horseshoer, you work with people that have nothing in common other than their love of horses. And I have had the opportunity to work with those people, talk to them, listen to them. We may not always agree on everything, but you learn what their concerns are and how to move forward. The fire department, I have gotten the chance to work in almost every part of this county. There's a really diverse county from east to west here, and there's a lot of differences throughout that area. I believe that I am the best candidate for this because of my work with different groups. I worked within the government, understanding how it works, and seeing some of the challenges and problems, and looking at how to get in front of these issues and just be more forward thinking in how to make Whitman County grow responsibly and make it better for future generations.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll move into the questions now. All right. The first question is, what plans do you have to promote business retention? And again, we'll start first with Mr. Finch, and the next time we'll start with you, Mr. Center.
Okay. I think businesses in the county are kind of overlooked by the existing commission. The unfortunate part of Whitman County falling so far back with the assessed tax rates is that they had to make it up all at once, and by only assessing it on a third of the county, and specifically hitting commercial businesses, they gave the businesses the burden of covering most of that all in 1 year. And I don't think there's no coincidence as to why all the businesses are closing in Pullman all in a short span of time. But I think we need to look outside the box. We need to work with the port. We need our economic development. We need to recruit new businesses. We can't just constantly rely on the fact that WSU was growing and Schweitzer was growing. We need to actually develop an industry, attract businesses, offer rebates, economic development zones. My time's up. Thank you.
Would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay, what plans do you have to promote business retention?
Yeah, business retention and job opportunity, and specifically upward mobility, has been a cornerstone of my campaign. Between 2019 and 2022, Whitman County lost roughly 2% of their job market, while the national average went up about 5.3%. So it's clear that what we're doing here isn't working, and everything that Mr. Finch said is 100% correct. But another aspect of it is the fact that a lot of our development plans and the documents that govern our county development here as it pertains to businesses are extremely outdated. Here in Washington State, in the 1990s, an act was passed called the Growth Management Act. And what that act did is it managed things like housing, but it also managed things like roads and business opportunity. And the plan that Whitman County has been submitting every year, as it's required by the Growth Management Act, was a plan created in 1978. And so another aspect alongside everything that Mr. Finch said is the fact that our plans and the goals that we've been striving towards have been outdated for nearly 50 years now.
So in order to recruit and retain businesses, one of the biggest things is small businesses. They are the backbone of our country, and they are the cornerstone of what we're going to be building on towards. And yes, there have been a lot of problems with a lot of taxes and the way that that's come down. Some of that has been in the past, things that our current employees are now trying to fight through to get, and some of it's also mandated by the state. So those are some of the challenges we're facing. And Whitman County, being a partially planned county, is kind of unique in the area. The goal is to try to bring in businesses to all the communities, not just Pullman, not just Colfax, but some of our smaller areas are ripe for some smaller industries. The other thing that I would work towards is getting more cooperation within the city of Pullman and the small businesses there.
Okay, thank you. This is working, right? Am I supposed to? I'll just talk louder.
Yes.
How's that? Okay. And I'm going to kind of go back and forth between fairly specific questions and then fairly general ones. So I'm going to move to a fairly general one. And that is, and Mr. Center, you can start with this one. Why are you running for Whitman County Commissioner?
I'm running for Whitman County Commissioner because I have a long-lasting heritage here, but I also, as I stated before, I'm in the unique position that I am so young, but I've been able to grow up here, and a lot of the aspects and a lot of ills of someone that is from here are very fresh in my mind. But then, as I stated in my opening statement, I also have the governmental experience to lobby in a tough budget year, for example, where not only our state but our county is facing a very strong budget deficit. And it's clear to me that we need a leader who doesn't take this isolationist mindset that a lot of our county commissioners and local leaders have taken, which is that we're just little old Whitman County and that we can't play on the larger state stage. We need a leader who can go to our state capitol, go meet with a lot of our elected representatives and make sure that Whitman County is well represented and that Olympia knows our names.
I got involved with politics mostly because I started volunteering with the Planning Commission. I think that's an important part of our government. And then as a horseshoer, talking to all my different clients, you start to see some trends. It doesn't matter what your background are, we're all fighting some of the same fights. And some of us have different ideas about exactly how to get there, but the end result is still the same. And so my goal is to try to continue to make Whitman County grow and work for its people. We've had a lot of issues over the years, and we're working towards improving those. And some of the decisions that have come down, we're working real hard to get that done already. So.
I've always said the reason I'm running is because our roots are so deep here is I'm not leaving. So the choice is to get involved and help make this better, or yeah, there is no choice. So what was the question?
Why are you running for county?
Why am I running? Okay. And I think what we've just been missing in leadership is we don't have any vocal leaders. We don't have somebody using that platform to be the biggest advocate that they can for the county at the state level, talking to residents, and all of that's just being missed. I don't think that this is a partisan position, or it shouldn't be, because if a resident has an issue, I think the commissioners owe that to those residents to go take it on. I'm sure we'll get into the wind farms. I think that's one of the big ones where people have a lot of concerns. But the commissioners need to do everything that they can to help out the residents of the county, and I'm not seeing that.
Well, next we're going to move to a fairly specific question, and since you brought it up, I'll do it.
All right.
And we'll let you go first, Mr. Wetzel. Is wind energy important to Whitman County?
The importance of wind energy, everybody's got a different opinion on that. I will say for sure that energy is important. Without a source of good, cheap, clean energy, our county, our state, our country will fail. We have to compete on a global market there. The wind energy is something that we have a certain amount of control over, but is mostly mandated by our state. So whether you agree with it or not, we have to play by their rules. The county is only allowed to do what the state gives them the right to do. It's not like the federal government where their powers are limited. So the problem with the wind energy currently is whether or not it's actually an effective source and how long that's going to last. With things like nuclear energy coming on strong, the tech industry is pushing hard for that because it is so cheap. I think it's going to overrun everything. Oops. It doesn't like staying on there very well.
I don't believe that wind energy is important to Whitman County in the sense for what we would give up to have that here. We are lucky enough to be in an area of the world where we have so much energy production. And I don't think forsaking views in agriculture land in order to build something that may or may not even benefit our county economically is worth it. And I have to disagree that more couldn't be done at the county level. And I would doubt that the planning commission or the commissioners were really caught that off guard about an energy company coming here when our laws when our zoning on the books has been to attract just that thing.
Yeah, I've been against this wind energy project since day one, and the reason is that we have a lot of small business owners in this room, and so as many of you may know, when you go and get a loan to start a business, you have to go and tell the lender, you know, what type of service you're providing, and if there's other places that are providing that same service in your community. And the United States has had an energy surplus since 2019. Washington State has had one since a similar time. And we've been moving towards energy independence and increased production of energy since the 2008 shale boom. And so the fact of the matter is the numbers just don't line out. Not to forget the fact that we're going to be selling away our own agricultural traditions here. I do have to disagree with my good friend Chad Wetzel here, in that I've been in the business of changing laws for some time now. And so while we do have to comply with a lot of the current laws, we certainly are in the business of changing laws and are elected to do as such and to be representative of the values and culture here in Whitman County, and to go and talk to our state representatives and to work on such issues.
Now with Mr. Finch, you'll be first on this one. I'm just going to keep going, and if I get out of order, please remind me.
Okay.
Okay, the question is, what are the most important obstacles facing Whitman County?
Economic development is huge. The more and more businesses we lose, the more point of sale revenue we lose, just the bigger burden falls on to everybody else. So that has to be our number one priority. And I think that translates just to property taxes in general. I don't think just blindly looking at, oh, well, we can increase property taxes by 1% every year and everyone will be okay with that. I think we need to look for more creative solutions, economic development mainly. And you asked about the burden.
What are the biggest obstacles?
The biggest obstacles. And then Whitman County is tough. We have a lot of students that are always coming and going. It drastically affects our population and the dynamic of the county. And we have to be in tune with their interests too, but maintaining our own rural roots. So.
One of the biggest obstacles that I've identified, and I talked about it in my opening statement and talked about it in the last question, is that Whitman County hasn't been playing on the state stage. And a lot of these issues as it pertains to our economics, our job growth, combating wind farm development, all those things are state issues. Sure, we can do a lot here at the county level, but our county commissioners need to take the onus upon themselves to go to the state and to talk to the individuals that can change a lot of these laws just outside of these county ordinances. But one of the biggest things that we need to work on here at the county level is just our job market and upward mobility. There's no reason that we should have a major university here that's a major employer. There's no reason that we should be a county that produces more agricultural product here than a lot of countries, and have a major international business like SEL that was started in some guy's basement, and yet we're still losing jobs here. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous that we can't form jobs here and create small business.
One of the biggest challenges that Whitman County faces is the fact that we are butt up right to Idaho, who has a very different set of laws and standards. So I think our biggest challenge is that we need to attract companies that want to be here and are looking for a high-quality employees that our county can provide, that have the education and the skills, be it four-year schools or be it technical skills. That's going to be our way out. That's what we really have to focus on here. And agriculture is our largest income in this county, and it's a fantastic thing. We've got to support that. And in so doing, we can bring in other ag businesses that are related and improve the agriculture industry within here, as well as other industries to grow for the future.
Okay, great. Here's our next question, and this first for you, Mr. Center. Whitman County voters approved a property tax increase in November 2019 to improve road maintenance, and yet I believe county road conditions are worse than ever. What can be done to improve this situation?
Yeah, I really appreciate you ever asked that question. It's something that I think everyone who lives in this county has felt, not only when they're driving down the roads, but has felt in their wallets. One of the things that, I'm not going to sit here and pull a President Bush and tell you to read my lips and that I'm not going to increase taxes by any means, because I'm not Nostradamus. I can't read the future. But what I will say is that I think it's upon us as leaders and as county commissioners to in some ways audit the auditors. Because I think that we have enough money to fulfill a lot of these promises, a lot of these obligations to our local communities, to do things like road pavement, road repairs, things like fixing buildings, stuff like that, with the current funding that we already have before we have to dive into the wallets of our constituency here.
Having driven pretty much all the roads of Whitman County at one point in time or another between all my jobs and volunteer work, the roads are a problem. They have been, I think it was about 12 years ago, our paved roads were falling apart. The county decided to focus on fixing those paved roads, and right now they're working on Hume Road, and that should be the last of the paved roads. The gravel roads are a problem through harvest. Our equipment's getting bigger, heavier. It's taking a bigger toll on those roads. And this past year, talking with Mark Story, the roads department is starting to send some of these guys to grader school. and that is helping out a ton. Then also, I've been talking with Mark and trying to figure out how we can prioritize these roads so we are maintaining asphalt roads along with the gravel roads at the same time, and not going back to this every 10 years we neglect one set of roads. The next step is ditching. You got to get the water off the roads, otherwise they collapse.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of my life driving up and down gravel roads of Whitman County, and there's always been a washboard. With or without more money, there's a washboard, but I think we should probably just look at something as simple as having a way for people to report a road with a problem. I know our road always has certain culverts that plug up, and those culverts, when they plug up, they wash all the gravel away from the road. And that preventative maintenance that's missed, it just adds tenfold to the work that those guys have to come out and do. It takes up their time, and I don't personally see enough time in a grader, even if they were to do a great job. I think the school's a great idea, but we need more gravel on the roads. We need more hours spent in the graders on the roads, and if there's not enough people for that, we should probably look at adding a person. So.
All right, this will start with you, Mr. Welchel. As commissioner, what goals would you have for Whitman County's parks and recreation?
Parks and recreation. So parks and recreation are an important part to a community. They bring people together. We have some fantastic parks. And one of the challenges, and I don't even know all the ins and outs on it, but I know Boyer Park has been used a lot. It's a great place. Even our students like going down there. But we send a lot of people over to Ilia Dunes. I would like to work with Boyer down there, see if we can make some improvements and make it a little bit more inviting for everybody. Kamiak Butte right now is going to be the challenge, because it's going to really depend on what happens with the windmills, on whether or not that's going to continue to be used as well as it is. Hopefully we can fight that and make that a very well used. They've been upgrading the services up there, camping and all kinds of the water systems. So we need to continue to support those parks and improve them. Hawaii Landing has a lot of potential down there too.
Yeah, I would like to really get into the books on this to see if all the caretaker houses at the individual parks actually make sense in the bottom line of the county budget. There's, if not every park, there's a caretaker house, at least 3 of them. And maybe that money could be better used on just parks' overall budgets. I'd like to see an expansion at Hawaii to where people could actually park a boat there overnight, maybe even raise a little revenue. We do have some great parks, but the amount of utilization at, say Clemgard, maybe something like that doesn't require full-time caretaking. But I think that's a great question. We have great parks, and I want to see them sticking around and getting better.
Yeah, our national parks and all of our natural beauty here is something that's extremely important to me as someone that is from here. Our natural beauty here is so beautiful that, as I cited in my opening statement, National Geographic has done stories about little Whitman County and our natural beauty here. And as both of the other candidates said, it's very important to me, and I think that this is something that we can do without, once again, having to dig into the pockets of the taxpayer and our constituency here. With the current funding that we have. I think one thing that illustrates maybe some of our shortfallings when it comes to recreation, while it's not a county-specific issue, it's more of a city issue, is our city pool here. Our good friend Mark Schessler, who's our state senator for this district, gave the city of Colfax hundreds of thousands of dollars to repair a pool that's been closed down for 2 years. And while that's not a county-specific issue, I do think it goes to illustrate the lack of financial oversight on maintaining a lot of our public lands and a lot of our utilities here.
Okay, this is question 7, and Mr. Finch, you're first. How many of our tax dollars stay in Whitman County, and how can we keep more of it?
How many of them? That's a great question. I would love to know the answer to. But how can we keep more of it? I think we should probably look at having some value-added products around the agriculture industry. You know, agriculture is fantastic. It's what this county's built on, but there's so many tax exemptions in that, you know, we're not collecting a sales tax on agriculture commodities, chemicals, fertilizers. And it's all right here, and especially in this current era of tariffs, where in high fuel prices, we're shipping things around the world. We have world-class ports, we have world-class commodities, and why we're not seeing more value-added products being made right here in Whitman County, creating jobs. I think that needs to be a huge priority of ours. So.
Can you repeat the question?
It is, how many of our tax dollars stay in Whitman County, and how can we keep more of them?
Yeah, well, to the first part of that question, I think a lot of people in this room would be lying if they said they knew exactly the amount of money that was staying here in the county. I think that would be a question better served for, say, our county assessor or an auditor for the county. But what I will say is that I'm not one of these people that thinks that everyone needs to be at the same economic level like some of our national politicians do. I do think that we should strive to a point where we have upward mobility to where more money is flowing through Whitman County, flowing through our agricultural sectors, flowing through our business sectors. And it's very expensive, a lot of the transportation that we're doing. We're paying a lot of money to the state, a lot of money to these agricultural processors to do things like use the barge systems to ship agriculture and all of those. And so it's going to take looking at the utilities that we utilize at the state and federal level, as well as some of these third parties, to identify where we're hemorrhaging the amount of money that we have in.
So how much money's leaving, again, like they said, is, I don't know who would know that right off, but how do we keep it? That's the more important question. And one of the things that I will say is we spend a lot of money on fuel here in the state. However, Whitman County is still receiving more money than they are putting into the state for fuel. We are a benefactor of the fuel taxes coming from Western Washington. Most everything else we definitely support the state on. We have a lot of money leaving. A lot of money leaving our county. We've got people that live on the other side of the state line, and money's going out that way, and a lot of businesses that are migrating to Moscow. So we need to make a more business-friendly environment and keep that money coming through here and supporting each other and small businesses.
Okay, and let's see, I think Mr. Center is the first on this one. How would you describe the current state of Whitman County's water, air, and soil? How would you protect these vital resources?
One of the things that we have benefited from is that we are we very much are a traditionally agricultural community, meaning that we haven't been plagued by the ills of heavy industry polluting a lot of our water systems, a lot of our soil systems, a lot of stuff like that. But there have been issues here at the county level, such as, I'm sure you guys have all heard about the water tests that have been done around the pool and the amount of stuff that is leaking into the water there. And so it's not that we don't have a problem with our water and soil, and it is something that we need to look into. But it certainly isn't a core issue, I would say, given how traditionally agricultural we are and how well we have kept up with a lot of our testing and holding true to our agricultural traditions here.
So the water, air, and soil quality in Whitman County, I think, is far above most places. Now, granted, we have wildfires come through periodically. We get smoked in, that's an issue. But there's only so much that can be done because accidents happen. No matter how much effort we put into stopping those things, we're going to have those issues. One of the biggest issues, though, I think, talking about water quality, is the fact that In particular, Pullman is on the Palouse Basin aquifer, and that aquifer has been draining for years. And I am a member of the Palouse Basin Aquifer Committee, and right now they are working on systems. That same aquifer goes down to Colfax, Genesee, Colton, Uniontown, and Palouse. And right now they are devising a way to try to replenish that water. Most of that water is coming through up on Moscow Mountain, and trying to work with landowners to build ponds to continue that.
I think we have the best soil in the world, and depending on what your allergies are, we have some very good air. Time of the year dependent as well. I think the issue here, probably where the question really was, is on water. And while it is of great quality, we need to be very conscientious of its use and so that we don't deplete that, because adding additional water sounds like that would be a burden on taxpayers. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, here's a good one. And I think now we're to Mr. Finn. I'm sorry, did I not get, did somebody not get to answer that one?
No, I answered that. We
Okay.
just, I think now we're down here, aren't we?
I think I started the last one. so-
Did you start? I don't remember.
Well, we're ready to go to the next question.
Yeah, next question. We are ready for the next
This is a
question.
very specific, very straightforward one, and I think it is Mr. Finch's turn to go first.
Chad's.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I beg your pardon.
That's okay.
What is your approach to land development that addresses growth and change while preserving the existing unique character and nature of this area and the communities that occupy?
Could you repeat the first word one more time? Sorry.
What is your approach to land development that addresses growth and change while preserving the existing unique character and nature of this area and the communities that occupy it?
So one of the most unique things about this country is our landscape. And in order to preserve that, we need to focus on making sure development stays within the towns and cities that exist and close to those. There are some other houses out and about and throughout the county. But if you go over to Moscow, there is a house on every hill. You can't go very far without running into one. So I think some of the rules that we have been pretty good about containing that development. And I would encourage everything to be pushed more towards our smaller towns and communities or within the city of Pullman or Colfax.
Could you repeat the question?
Okay. What is your approach to land development that addresses growth and change while also preserving the existing unique character and nature of this area and the communities that occupy it?
Yeah, you know, I think I don't want to harp on wind all night, but if you move that project 50 miles to the west, then you probably aren't impacting the landscape as much, the communities as much, and still providing the same amount of jobs for the county. We need development probably any way we can take it in this county, but we are a very large county footprint-wise. We have just some great communities that would be willing to accept almost any business you can think of. And we should push for development, responsible development at any level, any place. And if it's not something that fits with our ideals and standards, we should be vocal about that and challenge it.
Yeah, this is a very important question, not only when it comes to land development, but as it pertains to economic development and to use the word upward mobility again. But the truth is that we're a very outdated community here in Whitman County. As I cited before, a lot of our housing and land management and just overall development in terms of urban development is based on a plan that was created in 1978. And as I said, that's based on, it reported every year as required by the Growth Management Act. And as Mr. Wetzel correctly cited, we are a partial reporter in terms of our reliance on the Growth Management Act. But we do have the opportunity to, in many ways, abstain more from that act that would give us more autonomy in how we develop many of our houses. And one thing that I do want to point to is, I think one of the issues that Pullman has relied on for far too long is that if you see a housing problem, you always turn to building more houses instead of looking at the cost of rent or the cost of ownership of a house. And so that's what I would look to first.
All right. Now, this is a very specific question, and it's, I think we start with Mr. Finch. What are we going to do about water hemlock?
Poison hemlock?
Poison hemlock, I'm sorry. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I am actively spraying hemlock this past week, and I'm one of the people that if it touches me, you will know that I have touched poison hemlock. So I think as a county, we have a noxious weed control board. The people that I've heard complain about getting a letter from them don't seem to have much of a hemlock problem, especially when you look at what our county, the Chipman Trail, that's a hemlock forest. I think we could start with the county and what the county itself could do on the public spaces, and farmers are pretty good about not wanting a noxious weed around. So I think any support we gave them, they'd be all for it.
Yeah, me and my family, we operate a horse ranch just outside of Colfax here, and me and my family have been fighting World War III against hemlock. But one of the issues with it that we faced, I'm sure a lot of other people have faced, is that it's one thing to spray your own property for it, but in many instances, myself included, we have to reach out to the local properties that surround us for them to spray their own property lines so that it doesn't come over into our property. And so I agree with Mr. Finch that the county does need to do something. It's something that I know a lot of people have written to the county to get that put on the noxious weed list. And I find it very strange that it hasn't been put on there yet. The one thing that has been cited in conversations that I've had with getting it on there is that it would cost too much money for the county to control it. But I just don't frankly see that being the case, given how well we take care of a lot of our public lands. And as I said before, we have a lot of funding to do a lot of this stuff already. It's just a matter of getting into the nitty-gritty of our budgets and allocating already allocated money towards something like this.
So poison hemlock has been on the state noxious list since 1988. It's not something new, it's not uncommon. It is a problem, and it is very pervasive in all of our creeks and streams in the west and or the east side of our county, and even clear out on the west end where it's a little bit drier. Fortunately, you don't get as much out of the creek banks there as you do on this west side. Having said that, yes, the county needs to take care of theirs, the state needs to take care of theirs, and I would like to encourage landowners to deal with theirs, but I personally have a problem having the county tell landowners they have to take care of theirs if we're not taking care of our own first. Fortunately, most of our landowners do a fairly good job, but again, if you're downwind, downstream, that is a major problem, and we need to work with our weed board and improve the weed board and get that and a bunch of other noxious weeds taken care of too.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, this next question, Mr. Center, you can begin. Do you support the expansion of bike and recreation trails in the county, such as the one between Pullman and Albion?
This is probably going to be the shortest answer of this town hall, but of course I do. I don't think that we should be in any ways disencouraging people to use bike paths to get out and enjoy our natural beauty here. And once again, it goes kind of along the question of development, of land development, of community development. And I think the goal of a leader at any level of government is to make whatever they lead over a place where people want to come and settle. And I think one of the many ways that we can do that is by ensuring that people have the resources and the incentive to get out amongst the community. And so I see no reason, frankly, that anyone would be opposed to expanding any type of recreational activities, especially something so inexpensive as this.
So I support the trail system, I support the park system. The Pullman to Albion Trail is an extremely complicated one. Most of those trails fall under what they call the rails to trail system. And that is not technically abandoned rail lines, they are converted and banked for later in case it needs to be turned back into a rail again. The problem with the Pullman to Albion is that there is a whole lot of controversy on whether or not that rail line, the abandoned rail lines, well, banked rail lines, has been turned back to the local landowners or not. So in the past, the county has looked at this and decided that it's way too big of a lawsuit to pursue that. Now, I agree, I don't want to waste our tax dollars on that. If there are private entities that want to do this, I am in full support of that, and they are more than welcome to look into those things. But you also have to remember that the Rails to Trail system is roughly on a 20-year backlog of maintenance, deferred maintenance that they've done. So that will continue our weed problems.
And this was about the Pullman to Albion one specifically?
That's the specific example, but the
Yeah.
question is more generally about, do you support the expansion of bike and recreation trails in the county, such as the one between Pullman and Albion?
Yeah, I think any excuse for people to get outside is a great excuse. So abandoned rail lines, I'm not a pedal biker myself, but you know, the sides of the roads in Whitman County seem to be used a lot by bikers. Maybe having a wider shoulder would provide a lot safer access for street bikers to pedal bikers, street bikers, for them to, you know, get out and use the county roads, see the county, and I'm all for that. I wouldn't want to increase a tax just to do that, but by any means possible, that would be great.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, and we'll begin with you, Mr. Welchel. What is your position on developing a bypass around Pullman?
Developing a bypass around
Developing a
Pullman.
bypass around Pullman.
So the truck bypass has been discussed pretty lengthy in this area. Pullman used to have a bypass, it was Bishop Boulevard. It worked wonderfully right up until they developed that into town and put a stoplight in the middle of the road. And when you're climbing a hill and you're at 110,000 pounds, trucks don't want to stop there. So yes, we do need a bypass. The question is, where is the most efficient and best place to put that? Currently, the best idea seems to be Kitzmiller to Sand Road, which is going to require a fair bit of development, buying of land, improving the road. And then you have landowners out there. You know, I don't think anybody wants a necessarily truck route right through their backyard in your residential areas, but it is something that is going to have to be seriously looked at and figured out shortly.
If the goal of the bypass is to get heavy truck traffic out of Pullman, I think everybody hauling wheat or hay would appreciate that. I'm sure the residents of Pullman would appreciate that. I think we have the roads mostly in place. Sand Road to Kirkendall would get you back to the highway. And depending on if you were to extend that to all the way down to 194, wherever that's headed, you know, any additional infrastructure like that would be fantastic. But I think it's probably not of my personally biggest issues, just that Pullman is so hard to get through that people find any way to get around it. And otherwise, we don't want traffic bypassing our small towns. I think we need more pedestrians, more vehicles, anybody coming through our towns that will take. So all for getting the heavy traffic out, but we need to be careful with that.
Yeah, I think the last thing that we need right now is one, to spend money that we don't have. The county and the state government, they don't have enough money to take care of the things that we even have currently. So I don't see a realm in which we can even feasibly build a bypass. not to forget the fact that I don't think we want to be putting any pavement or concrete or anything through already farmable land that's already successful, land that's been ingrained in our agricultural traditions here, and in some ways has become part of our culture. And I think it would be a shame if we did anything to destroy that. What I will say is that I do think we need to do something with our roads to help out a lot of our farmers. I know I've heard a lot of farmers complain about the multiple roundabouts that we put in a town of just over 30,000 people for some insane reason. And so while I certainly do feel for the farmers and the truckers that do have to drive through Pullman, I do think it would be a shame to one, spend money that we don't have, and two, to destroy our natural lands and the tradition that we have around us.
Okay, thank you. There's a lot of interest in weeds tonight. This question, and Mr. Finch, you're first. One of the stated objectives of the Weed Board is education. What educational efforts has the Weed Board made in the last 2 years, and what might they do in the future?
I do not know what educational efforts they have done in the recent past, but you know, I think putting out a handbook and just online to let people know what is good, what is bad, what is a plant that's good for the Palouse Prairie versus what is something that is not. That's about as far as I can go into that. So.
Yeah, much like Mr. Finch, I'm not very well aware of what they're doing currently for any education, which does go to illustrate just the lack of transparency that we are having from a lot of our local governmental entities here. And so I will say that is that there certainly needs to be more transparency from the Weed Board as it pertains to education. Some of the things that we can do is utilize a lot of the local events, things like our Whitman County Fair here, for them to set up booths. I see no reason that we can't put on seminars in places like this, in which farmers could come in and see the different types of weeds that they have, different ways to combat them, what types of chemicals can they use to combat a lot of these obnoxious weeds. And so I see no reason that we can't have more education, and most importantly, more transparency on that front.
So there has not been in the recent past a lot of education put out by the Weed Board. The Weed Board has kind of been cut down. When I was in college in the 90s, they'd have lots of part-time inspectors through the summer walking, helping landowners find different weeds, and sometimes using trustees to help mechanically remove weeds. So I would love to see us get back to that point. The problem is it depends on the board of trustees who's I guess guiding the Weed Board. I would love to see all kinds of things online put out about it. For instance, this deal with the poison hemlock. There are tons of other noxious weeds out there that have just as many issues. You know, for a long time, St. John's wort was used to treat depression. That's a phototoxin. You take that, don't go in the sunlight, you'll blister. Not many people know that. Yellow star thistle will kill horses. So there's a lot of education that needs to go into this that people just don't know.
Okay, thank you. This question, we'll start with you, Mr. Center. With the issues of the last flood in rural Whitman County, when will the gravel roads be dealt with? And what about cleaning out the ditches? And I think that's it.
It's something that we need to take care of immediately. I think it's a shame that that a lot of these roads haven't been regraded. And frankly, I think it's a shame that going back to the last question of putting a bypass through Pullman, I think it's a shame that we haven't paved a lot of these roads that we already have that are already pre-existing and taking care of a lot of those. I think we have a long way to go in ensuring that things like our culverts are up to date and not out of date, so that when we do have a massive flood, which we are very much prone to flooding here, that we don't have the massive washouts that we have that leave a lot of our local communities hanging. And there's a lot of people that don't live in town that are kind of left holding the bag in terms of getting back home from work or just getting to work when the county can't hold up their end of the bargain of ensuring that the roads that they live on aren't held up.
Can I just repeat the question one more time?
We're thinking about the flooding we had earlier this spring in rural Whitman County. What about the roads? When will the gravel roads be dealt with, and what about cleaning out the ditches and culverts?
So the good news is the flood damage, we're almost done with it. Part of the problem is we're fighting Fish and Wildlife on a section out by Palouse. They wanted to put a culvert in there, replace a culvert that washed out. Fish and Wildlife fought them for almost 2 months, wanted them to put in a 30-foot bridge instead of a culvert, even though there was a culvert upstream and downstream of that culvert. So we're working with the state of Washington. Mark Story has been doing a pretty darn good job of trying to get that stuff through. He's also working with all the roads departments. He's kind of started an internal competition on ditching because that has been neglected for a while, and getting these culverts cleaned out. As far as paving roads, the thing that you have to remember, if we're paving roads, that's $1 million a mile. We don't have that in our budget. Even if it's a gravel road, it takes a ton of money to improve them, and there's all kinds of problems that go along with that. But I will say that we are working on getting those improved, and I would like to I'm working with Mark Story to get more of this done.
Chad, I have something to say about our roads.
Hey, I'm sorry,
No,
but
sorry.
this isn't how the forum works.
Okay,
If you have
sorry.
a question, write it on a card.
I will.
Okay,
I will.
great, thank you. All right, Mr. Finch.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think the flooding is unpreventable in, you know, say like Steptoe Canyon. You know, but I think the travesty is that if you were to go out to any gravel road and knock on a door, they could tell you where the problems are. And so much of that could have been prevented just in ditch maintenance and culvert maintenance. I've talked to farmers who say, oh, you know, I've tried to access my field through this, but the county won't let me touch that culvert that is defunct, and so they're waiting on the county. And we just need to do a better job at communicating with our residents, finding out the actual problems, solving those, getting ahead of them. It's kind of the county's problem as a whole, just in relation to roads, so.
Okay, now we're going to move into a little bit of a philosophical direction here. And I think it's Mr. Welch's turn to begin. Wetzel, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
What characteristics make a successful county commissioner for Whitman County?
I think one of the biggest characteristics is somebody that can bring people together. We have a diverse county with some diverse thoughts, but our goals are all the same. We want to have a county that works for the people and have a better future for our children, grandchildren, our families. And I think that with the work that I've done with so many different types of people, I am willing to listen to anyone. We don't have to agree. That's not necessarily the issue, but we've got to listen to each other and take those ideas and apply them how they can make our county work better. So for me, I'd say being able to listen and communicate with the residents of the county.
I'd say probably somebody who's not too old, not too young, maybe right in the middle, but I think we should try something different than what we have been doing. You know, the county commissioner in Whitman County has been the same demographic for a long time, and it's just, we need new ideas, we need fresh ideas. We need someone who thinks about it a little differently. When I was talking to the assessors for the appointment process, I was bringing up AI and putting our meetings on YouTube, and that seemed like a foreign concept to them. So, you know, we need to move forward and come up with new ideas. We do need to reach everybody, but again, it's not a partisan position. I think we're all going for the same thing. We just need somebody in that office that really cares and is willing to actually challenge things and change things a little, so.
You know, I think Cody is exactly right. The demographic of our elected officials here for far too long has been the exact same. And I think in many ways I'm exemplary of the type of leader that we need is someone that is, you know, both a fresh face, but someone that has kind of been there and done that in terms of a lot of our state issues. I think we need someone that is prioritizing, you know, looking towards building up a lot of our pre-existing infrastructure, and instead of constructing a bypass that Mr. Wetzel seemed to show some modicum of support for, that instead we spend that money on paving a lot of our county roads. And that's just one example of one way that I think we need a leader that prioritizes and looks inward on where the county is at, looks at the funding that we already have before diving into the pockets of all of us in this room, because we certainly don't want to pay any more money for stuff that we already have or for resources that are already before us. And so I think it's a matter of just transparency and responsibility in many ways.
Okay. Let's see, where are we? Okay. I don't remember who's up next. Is it you, Mr.?
Finch. I think it's me.
Mr. Finch, thank you, I'm sorry. What is your vision for the future of Whitman County?
I think it's economic prosperity and just not looking at doing it the same way we've always done it in the past. It's worked, and it's worked great, and we have a great county to show for it, but I think for the first time, maybe just in the past couple of years, we've realized that college enrollment, that WSU isn't forever going to keep growing and driving this county. And you know, I don't think we've reached the top of wheat production or canola or garbanzo beans, but we're pretty darn good at that. And so it's time to start looking elsewhere for some ideas, for something that just really pushes the county forward. And I think the commissioners should be at the forefront of, you know, trying to recruit a new industry, using our ports. It just really has to start there, just building the business environment and then letting it come naturally to letting the residents of the county and their great ideas keep that going.
Yeah, my dream for Whitman County is pretty simple, in that it should be a place that people want to come and raise a family here, want to come and start a business. There's no reason that Whitman County shouldn't be an economic powerhouse. Given that we produce more agricultural products, as I said before, as a lot of smaller countries do. There's no reason that we shouldn't put agriculture in the center of our economy, but also look towards a lot of things that are exterior, like Washington State University as a major employer, or SEL as an example of a company that was quite literally started in some guy's basement and now is selling products internationally around the world, and is a name that a lot of business owners know and a lot of elected leaders in other countries know. There's absolutely no reason, and I do think it's a travesty that we aren't supporting dreams like that, and we aren't supporting people along their path to the American dream. I think in a lot of ways, to put a finer point on it, Whitman County should be a place that illustrates the American dream to a T.
So I think the backbone, again, as I said earlier, of economic development is your smaller and medium-sized businesses. We have some fantastic businesses here, and I think we can recruit other industries that will work hand in hand with some of the ones we have already, and also promote ag and some of the industries that go into that. We have WSU that's been a leader in research and development, but there's a ton of private industries out there that can do a very good job and can improve that even more. I would like to see some of our crops being able to be processed here before being shipped out. I think we could bring in a lot more good paying jobs. And then the last thing to that is you gotta have a good source of inexpensive, clean energy. And I think Whitman County is in a position where we can do that.
Okay, and I think some of these questions we've already addressed. So this will be our last question, and I think it begins with Mr. Center. To improve communication and participation with residents, should commission meetings be held after work hours?
Yeah, that's something that I've faced as someone that, not only when it comes to the county commissioners, but when it comes to the planning commission and a lot of our other departments throughout the county. I would certainly be for holding meetings at a time where everyone could come and participate in our democratic process. As elected officials, we're all up here looking to get elected by you guys, but ultimately we're elected to, or looking to be elected to work for you. And you wouldn't be a good employee by any means if you didn't communicate with your boss. And the electorate is the boss of those that are elected. And so I see no reason that we shouldn't strive for more transparency and more openness.
So with I guess the increase in use of things like Zoom and Microsoft Teams and that sort of thing, there are a lot more avenues to be part of the process. Yeah, it's frustrating sometimes that we do it, that our meetings are in the morning, but the commission, we usually start at 9 o'clock in the morning, and depending on the day, we have meetings clear until 1 o'clock in the afternoon, typically sometimes later. Some of the stuff later in the afternoon is more internal, and yes, we could do some of that in after work, but if we start at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, what are you looking at, 4 hours? I don't know who's going to want to be up at 10 o'clock watching this. So while I do appreciate, having the transparency, I'm not sure how to get around the fact that it's going to be late. And there's also other meetings that go on in the evenings. But I think some of the other computer technology issues will help.
I think anything that increases engagement would be good for that. And I think there's a lot of things that probably haven't been done because more engagement might make the job a little harder. It's already on Zoom. All you have to do is push the record button, and then you can put it online so people can get access to the information. And that's been, YouTube's been around for a long time, and they host stuff for free. So I think everyone should just keep raising a stink about all of their issues and hope to see some results. So it's right there. It all can be done, and we just need the constituents that they're representing to speak up.
Okay, well, would you like to do your closing statements now? And let's do it in reverse this time. So I guess you're first.
We have how long?
2 minutes.
2 minutes, okay. So I was not born and raised in this county. I moved here because I enjoyed it, and I came to WSU, and I enjoyed the area. I stayed here, and I would love to see this area grow responsibly and still be a great place to raise our families. I've had the chance to travel through a lot of my jobs throughout a lot of the U.S., and this is by far one of the best places there is out there. Not only for just our environment and the landscape out there, but we also don't have a lot of the natural disasters that are facing a lot of the areas. So I think we are very fortunate. But I maintain that we need to improve our economic outlook, encourage small businesses, and search for inexpensive sources of energy to continue to power those industries.
I said it once and I said it again throughout my opening statement and through our questions, but we truly do need a leader who can bring a fresh face, fresh ideas to the table when it comes to our county governmental structures and many of the issues that we face. But we also need a leader that understands the governmental structures, that has connections at both the state and federal government, because a lot of the issues that we face are things that we can address to a degree here at the county level, but we need a commissioner that can go above and beyond and meet with a lot of our other elected and unelected representatives. I think another core tenet of good leadership, and one thing that I will bring to the table, is transparency. The question was asked just before this of holding meetings in the afternoon. And I've been to those planning commission meetings that have gone past 10 p.m. and there's always a packed house there. There's always people that are striving to be part of the process, that want more transparency, that want more leadership. And so there's always a market and always opportunities to do better and to hear the voices of those that have been unheard in many ways. And in many ways, Whitman County has gone unheard with the negligence of a lot of our elected officials here. Not all of them. I know a lot of our elected officials, and they're great people. But we also have a lot that have been here for far too long, a lot of people that just want to do the bare minimum, and they don't want to build a coalition of like-minded individuals here that they are supposed to call their constituency, that want to go and face these broader and greater issues at the state and federal levels. And so that is something that I am uniquely built to address if elected.
I want to go back and clarify some things that while I think Whitman County needs economic development and prosperity, I don't want Whitman County to turn into the other side of the state or even Spokane for that matter. I think the attraction of Whitman County is a small county where you can know your neighbors. And if that was lost, it wouldn't be the same place that we're fighting for. So, but I would like to see, I was born and raised here, and I stayed here. Even I buck that trend that you grow up here and you can't wait to get away and see the big world out there. But there's no place like home, and we just need to get the services in place that help out residents, whatever that may be, and we need to do that by any means possible. Economic development zones, business incubators, whatever it takes. We need to start throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what works. I'm fiscally conservative. Some would say cheap in real life, but our family, we don't run any debt. We live within our means, and we're able to do a lot of things within those budget constraints. And I think that's how the county should be run in general. I think it's great that everybody came out tonight, and I hope you look into all of us further as candidates. Look at our F1 filings and our finances. Come talk to us, engage with us, ask us, keep asking more questions, yell at us from the back if you see us anywhere. So there's so much we can do, and I think I should be in there because of the amount I care. Thank you.
Well, and Mr. Wetzel, Mr. Center, and Mr. Finch, thank you for running for this position, a robust campaign, and thank you all for coming to listen. This really is the most important part of the democratic process, is having people willing to put ideas out there and sharing those with us. This is a primary election. The election will be August 5th. Ballots will be mailed July 18th. And if any of you aren't registered to vote, you can do that up until July 28th. So thank you all, and good night.
Thank you.